There's one thing I make sure to do every week, and it's not setting up my planner. I mean, yes, this is a plan with me video, and I do try and set my planner up every week. But the one thing I always do is brain dump. Hi, I'm Carrie from InvisArt Planners, and I talk about all things digital planning and stationery on this channel. Today I'm talking about my simple planning routine. Hopefully you'll pick up some tips that you can use when you plan out your week. I try to keep my process as simple as possible with 3 main steps, because I find that the more complicated it is, the more likely I am to avoid doing it, and I'll just mindlessly jump into each week working on whatever it is that pops up. And some weeks that's how it goes, and that's okay. But I find that if I don't take a little bit of time each week to do some planning, I'll start working on tasks that feel important and urgent, but they really aren't. The first step in planning out my week is closing up the one that just ended. It's the last thing I do every week, sometimes on Friday, sometimes on Saturday, depending on our workload. I take a moment to cross off finished tasks, update my planner and project managers, and collate any notes that have piled up over the week. It normally only takes a few minutes, and it gives me a sense of closure that helps me enjoy the weekend a lot more. I also do a quick update and check-in for my personal projects to prep for the weekend. If you want to see how I use Notion to keep track of projects for work and fun, let me know in the comments. It's still a work in progress, but my personal dashboard is really starting to take shape, and I'd love to share it with you. After I finish crossing off my tasks and updating my habit tracker, I like to add a few memories from the week if I haven't already. It's really nice to end the week on a high note. Most of these entries are about our dogs, like taking later walks because it's been just so hot and enjoying the quietness of dusk. Or I also added a mini story about how our puppy finally fell asleep on his dog bed rather than digging at it or chewing it. It felt like such a big win for our high energy pup. I don't always finish everything I plan to do in a week, so I also like to use this time to think about what went well and what didn't, so I can make adjustments for the coming week. I assess whether or not the things I'm working on are important in the moment, or if they need to be put aside for, say, something more pressing or something that aligns better with my goals. But the main question I ask myself is what helped me stay focused on work and what hindered it? Because for me, finding focus is my biggest day-to-day challenge right now. And check this out. This note is about how warm it's been and how nice it was that our friend brought their friend to play pickleball with us on Wednesday. It was really nice meeting them, but it was also nice to have extra breaks in the heat. But here's the cool part. There's a website, flaticon.com, that has a bunch of free icons and stickers for personal use that you can use in your digital planners and notebooks. I found this sun/hot weather icon and added it to this note because it was just too hot that day. For icons, you can pick the one that you want to use, click on the Copy PNG button, go back into your planner, and paste it in. For stickers, you pick what size you want, download it, and then add it in using the photo tool in GoodNotes or your planning app. In GoodNotes, when you use the photo tool, you tap on From Files and add it from the Downloads folder. You could also split screen with the Files app and drag and drop it in. The second step is the heart of my weekly planning process. It's the thing I do every week, even if I don't get around to setting up my actual planner. After a long week of deadlines, projects, and obligations for both work and home, my mind tends to feel like a tangled ball of yarn. Writing everything out in a brain dump helps me untangle it all. It moves my thoughts from my brain onto paper, and seeing everything written out makes it easier to figure out what needs to get done next week and what can be put on the back burner. I usually set a timer for 15 to 30 minutes depending on how much we're juggling. I write everything out that I want to do or could do or maybe should do. Without a timer, it can get pretty out of hand, and I'll just keep writing and writing, which that's not always a bad thing, especially when I have some extra time. But for the average week, I try to keep it manageable with a timer. For each brain dump, I have 4 columns: work projects, content ideas, home/personal projects, and a break list. I try to make sure to give each column a lot of space because I jump from section to section instead of finishing one column at a time. So I end up adding extra notes or extra thoughts or arrows, drawing here and there. I use this unruled composition book for my brain dumps. I would use a nicer notebook, but I don't really feel as free using them because I feel obligated to keep them at least kind of neat and tidy. I just want some place to get all of my thoughts out and not have to think about what it all looks like. I also don't do this as soon as the week is over. I usually wait until Sunday because I like to take a breath between the end of the week and the start of a new one. It gives me a nice chance to decompress because if I start planning right away, momentum from the last week will take me into the next and I'll focus on whatever I was doing then. But that's not necessarily what needs to get done in the coming week. Sometimes it is, but sometimes I start working on something new because I had a bit of extra time, or maybe I was frustrated with the project or task at hand and needed to take a quick step back. Once everything is out of my brain and written out onto paper, I compare it to my projects in Notion and add anything new that needs to get done. For the third and final step, I add everything to my digital weekly planner. I've been using a new weekly layout since July, and it's a grid instead of a dashboard. I'm excited because we updated this grid to fit our widget system, so now I can make each day whatever I want it to be. I try to take Sundays pretty slow, so I don't normally have a list of to-dos. So I add in a side quest list for the week instead. I use this list for personal tasks and, bonus work projects if I have extra time, which I almost never do, but it's nice to add them. And this space that doesn't have a day is perfect for my habit tracking widget. I can also just get rid of the day and put a widget over it if I don't need, say, a random Tuesday. Or if I don't have a to-do list, I can do a little bit of memory keeping or add a daily recap widget instead. Once my side quests and habit tracker are set, I fill in the rest of the week. I add 1 to 3 priorities for each day and normally keep Friday or Saturday as a buffer day for anything that doesn't get done. This way I can look at this planner and know what I need to work on without jumping into the weeds of my project planner. It makes setting up each day faster. At the start of each day, I write out an expanded to-do list in my bullet journal. Each priority gets broken down into smaller, more bite-sized steps to help me stay focused throughout the day. Personal tasks, events, meetings, appointments, they tend to go in this larger box, and I usually use this for small bits of memory keeping and photos like you saw earlier in the video, which is probably my favorite part of this layout. And on busy weeks or weeks where I just can't focus, I use this time blocking template. I just copy and paste it behind the current week. Planning is an ever-evolving process because life never stays the same. But what I shared is my weekly planning foundation. Bits might change here and there, but the main steps will probably remain the same. It might take time for you to find a process that works for you. It's taken me a while to find a rhythm that works for me. And I'm always looking for ways to make my weekly planning process better or more efficient. So let's talk in the comments. How do you set up your week? Do you have any tips or tricks that help you plan your week? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more videos like this. If there's something you'd like to see in these Plan With Me's or other types of videos you want to see, Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to see more Plan With Me's, check out these videos. Until next time, bye!